Hi my friends and welcome to today's reading. I'm feeling super excited about this one. We're going to be talking about the year ahead in 2025, what the main themes are going to be, what you might experience, as well as any lessons or blessings from 2024 that are still wanting to be sort of like acknowledged, brought with you, whatever it might be, in order to help complete the cycle and usher you into a new positive year and phase. So we have 4 piles here, pile 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to let you take a look at the stones really quick before we get started. So the first one here is a turquoise, like a rough turquoise chunk. The next one is a beautiful celestite cluster piece. And then this rough quartz. And then the final one is this beautiful peacock ore. Might not be able to see it as well. So take a moment to contemplate if you want to, but whatever pile you're drawn to, you can find the timestamp in the description, and let's hop right into it. Okay, pile 1, if you're here, you chose this rough turquoise piece, and let's just dig right in. So this will be the sort of dominant energy of your year, like sort of the main theme. And you have Uranus. So the main theme for you is going to have a lot to do with rapid change, maybe chaotic change, a lot of things changing in general. I would say realigning to a life that is more authentic to you, that might be a little bit outside of the box. It might be a year full of sort of breakthrough moments, moments that feel like awakening, moments that sort of just feel like a shakeup. Like, I just think there's a lot of change, and by the end of 2025, your life is going to look very different than how it has in the past. You might even change your appearance a lot. You might be changing the communities that you're a part of, even what you do, to be a little bit more aligned with who you are authentically. So let's pull a few more cards just to paint an image of what 2025 might look like for you. The threshold wanted to fall out, so definitely I feel like the person that's standing in the dark in that is sort of like you standing in a life that isn't fully authentic to you. And because it's not authentic, it's almost like it drained your energy because it was coming from a place that was learned or inherited, or doing more of what was expected of you rather than what was really true and authentic to you. Right when I said true, I looked at this card which fell on the ground, Aletheia. It's quite literally truth, like what's actually true to you. And I'm just noticing it's very like black and white, and I feel like you're just going to be getting a lot more clear about what is really true to you. I'm noticing that Uranus is sort of looking away from that card, so it might be that you're shifting away from very black and white thinking, which is where you've been standing, and maybe coming more into like a gray area, or like a rainbow area. I want to get one more card. Oh, well, they gave me 3 more cards. On the bottom, we have the box. Yeah, I feel like this is like the past energy, this like black and white square box. And what you're coming into is this like colorful rainbow phase. And then you have the sustainer on the bottom, and it was in reverse. So I feel like it's like this sort of energy, this black and white box energy, is not sustainable for you. But what you're coming into is a life that is a lot more sustainable because it's more aligned with your truth. So you actually had 4 more cards come out, and I just totally moved this. So there's definitely this energy of like total revamp. Like, I just keep feeling like I have to keep like rearranging everything. Everything keeps moving and shifting. Very Uranian. So you have the self, beautiful, again, that like rainbow color. I just feel like your true self is really going to shine through this year. And it's a truth that maybe most people in your life haven't seen, and maybe you haven't even seen it yet because you're kind of just starting to acknowledge it, recognize it, and tune into it. You have the river, and then there's like the shadow of the horse there. Also, the self is like a shadow, so I almost feel like you're taking this sort of shadowy past of where you're coming from, and like you're letting those lessons be a part of you, but you're really, really like finally just flowing. Like I just get this energy of going from like very stagnant, stuck, sort of like heavy, dense energy to a very like fluid, etherical energy. You have the stone, which talks about, I believe, like stability and grounding. I kind of want to look to the book for that one, but I'm going to give you your final one first. You have the bridge, and it's like a rainbow bridge. Yeah, so I feel like this year is like, it is going to be kind of chaotic and full of change, but it's for the better, and it's almost like helping you cross over from one way of being and experiencing life to another, which is really beautiful, but it is going to be challenging. And I feel like part of this is like staying grounded amidst all the change with the stone. Also seeing the river and the stone next to each other reminds me of the book Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. This might be a sign for you to read that book, but there's actually an image that they bring about in that story of being like a stone in the water, where you're so clear about what you want that you're sort of like that stone being thrown into the water, and you create all of these ripples around you that help bring that desire into manifestation. But it's almost like you're very grounded as that stone, and there's this part of you that's like unchanging amidst that river that's always flowing. And I just really feel like this year is you getting in tune with that and how magnificently weird and different that part of you is. I'm gonna grab the book really quick just so we can read anything else about the stone that might be helpful. So 34, 3 plus 4 is 7. So 3 talks about like your community, like your immediate community that you're a part of. 4 talks about like home, family, upbringing. And 7 talks about like, in astrology, it would be like your relationships with others, but also your connection with your higher self. I also just realized that's the river card. Not the stone card. That's 34. So an additional message with this might just be that something that's changing is like the communities that you're a part of and the communities that you relate to and connect to, especially if you're still a part of a community that you were brought up in. Like you might be moving, like the horse can be symbolic of like movement, changing location in the world. So that might be a part of this, like moving to a place that you feel like you can really be who you are authentically. But also just in general, like you might be staying in the same place, but your relationships with others are changing. Like you're kind of becoming a part of a new community. So the stone in the book, it says the eternal, the anchor, the rock. As an archetypal object, the stone holds psychic and literal weight. Its energy is one of permanence, concreteness, and reliability. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us as... Oh, there's a little bug on my hand! Wow. Sorry, I just like noticed movement and there's this tiny little bug on me. You can't really see it. That's so weird. It's the middle of the winter here. But there's a little bug on me. Okay, I can't get to focus. Take we're gonna let him hang out on the reading. The change of the stone is nearly imperceptible. The stone's ability to transform is nearly imperceptible to us, as it changes ever so slowly over countless human lifespans. A single stone may see thousands of generations come and go, therefore it contains an ancient and eternal presence. The stone is best used to anchor our wild side, so no matter how far we roam, we can always find our way back. The stone tethers us to earth, helping to ground and connect us to stillness, quiet, and peace. When this card appears, it's likely the stone is a remedy for what ails us. Humble and easily unnoticed, the power of the stone balances the frenzy of our world. Okay, yeah, totally. So, I think that that's the most important message, is to find grounding amidst this, because there is a lot of beautiful chaotic change. It almost, like, I get the image of like an artist just taking paint and throwing it all over the room versus like taking a very methodical, strategic approach to making a painting. It's very just like chaotic and expressive and cathartic, but finding an anchor is going to be really important. So whether that is like carrying a stone with you, or having like a daily practice that you can ground into, whether that be like stillness, like mantra singing, like a movement meditation like yoga, or like a specific workout, or like writing, pulling cards, whatever this is, make sure that in 2025 that you have this grounding practice, because yeah, just a lot's going to be changing around you, but also within you. And so having a practice to come back to, I feel like especially writing, is going to be super duper helpful. So I want a little bit information about what group 1 can expect. I got pregnancy was on the bottom, and birthday, daughter, and flower power. So it feels like just very innocent, like getting in touch maybe with your inner child. Your desire is within reach, wants to poke out, but I'm only going to take cards if they actually fall out. Yeah, I feel like part of this is getting in touch with your inner child, maybe like your feminine side with the river, like kind of just surrendering and allowing things to happen as they want to happen. Awesome. You've got the power. I love that for you. Use your abilities to resolve the situation. You can do it. Yeah, I feel like this is you really coming into your power. You have new career at the bottom and connect with nature at the top. So I think connecting with nature could be part of the stone for you. And your career maybe even might be part of that stability, like what you're showing up for. Also tuning into like, what does your career feel like to you? Does it feel like that black box? Or does it feel like the brilliant explosion of rainbow colors? I definitely think that you're overcoming a lot of fear and limiting beliefs about yourself, what you're capable of, what you can do. And I think your day-to-day is going to be really important with this, like what every day looks like for you. And so you might be leaving behind some habits that in the past have been like the stone or the anchor to try to help you ground. It's almost like you're leaving those behind and finding new, healthier ways to ground amidst all of this. To me, it feels very energized, a little chaotic, but just so good, like so exciting. And if you ever feel afraid of this, just remember that like you are going through this transformative process of becoming yourself, becoming authentic, and that it's just like where you are. Like, let this reading be a confirmation of that and how beautiful and important this time is for you. Also look at where Uranus is in your astrological chart to maybe inform the area of life this is happening in. To me, like looking at this, I feel like it's a full overhaul of like all parts. You might have Uranus in your first house, in your 7th house, in your 6th house or 5th house, maybe 8th house. But yeah, just look to your chart and just see like what house is Uranus in? Are there any planets around it or connected to it? I'm going to pull a card now of any lessons or blessings to take with you from 2024. Maybe things that you're still going to be working through as we enter the new year, or experiences that you've been through that have been like really important for this to like kind of take with you. Researching the mystical world. You guys, this is really interesting. If you follow my social media, I'll put my Instagram in the description. I just did a reading, like a pick a card reading, just a short one for my Instagram right before I recorded this. And this came out for one of the piles. I don't remember which pile it was. I want to say it was one, but I don't think it was one. But definitely check that out. Researching the mystical world. You also have meditating and reflecting on the bottom and sitting with sorrow at the top. Yeah, so part of this change, you guys, okay. I'm actually going to put these out here. part of this change is coming from suffering that you've been in. So this might be something that actually happened in this last year in 2024, or it might be something that has happened in the past that just hasn't been processed or like worked through. And it feels like you're finally kind of showing up. You have also practiced daily spirituality and transforming empathic absorptions. So I feel like, you know, this could be something from your past, like just feeling this general heaviness when you think about your past experiences, your upbringing, your life thus far, or it could be, again, something that has recently happened. And what I'm getting is that you're leaving this sort of dark night of the soul. Like, you're on the threshold now, you're just crossing through. And part of it is like, you see there's like this shadow present in each of these, right? This person's coming out of the shadow, the black and white thinking. This person is like a literal black silhouette surrounded by rainbows. There's a black shadow of a horse here surrounded by rainbows. And then there's like black in here too, and the water is rainbow. So I just feel like acknowledging what has happened, acknowledging where you've been, not feeling guilt or shame about it, not feeling regret about what's happened, but just really just sitting with the truth, aletheia, sitting with the truth of what it was, and just allowing like healing waters and change and movement to transform this for you. Researching the mystical world, you might be diving into a new spiritual tradition, a new way of thought, maybe reading like a self-help book or like a spiritual text, or like listening to a spiritual video or podcast. And that's going to be really helping you with this process of incredible transformation and change in your life. So finally, we're going to end with some tarot cards. The first one that I split to is the Six of Swords, which talks about like literally moving from this like dark night of the soul into like really happy, positive, beautiful energy. And then what do we have? We have the Magician. Yeah, you're really, whatever you're learning about the mystical world is really empowering you and helping you feel like you can have what you want. And it's like awakening you to your own creative potential. And part of this might even be sitting with ways that you've somehow created these past experiences that maybe brought you sorrow, and like sort of honoring that, like through this new learning. I feel resistance with that. So if something happened to you that was like very abusive, I totally get that can be really fucking hard. Like, I've also been there, and like, hard truth, it's part of the process. Like, it might have been unfair. It probably shouldn't have happened. But it did happen. And part of this process is acknowledging like, what role did you play? And if it happened again, what would you change this time around? Like, how would you take a more assertive stance or action within that situation to like change it? And also just looking at like, how have your thoughts and actions been creating your world? That's part of this. You're like becoming an alchemist. Even to read The Alchemist, you guys. That's a really good book, and it's been a really powerful part of my journey as well, The Alchemist. So you had the Three of Wands fall out, you had the Fool fall out, and then whatever that card is. The bottom, we have the Three of Cups reversed and the Sun. Yeah, so I feel like your joy is really going to be coming from within and from whatever you're learning from this spiritual text rather than from external forces. Part of this like habit or whatever that you use to help you cope with reality might have been overindulging in substances, or being so social that you aren't able, like you haven't been able to sit with yourself. And that's part of what's shifting for you. I'm actually going to take these out and put them on the table, because you're just becoming a lot more content with like solitude, and like genuinely content, not the kind of solitude that you are just filling your time, Like, it's the kind of solitude that just feels so peaceful and right and grounding. Yeah, so you have the Three of Wands, the Fool, and the Ace of Swords. So the Three of Wands talks about new horizons, literally. This gets me really excited for you because it's almost like you're like just confirming that you're going to be experiencing a whole new kind of life this year. And again, it might take a little time, but I feel like it's going to happen really quick with Uranus. You might even be having like some kind of Uranus transit in your chart, so you can look at that for timing. Like if Venus is going to be crossing over Uranus in your chart, or Mars or Saturn or whatever it is, that might point to timing, maybe even 3 months. Like maybe by like March, you might be like really, really noticing that your life looks different, feels different. You're having experiences that you've never experienced before, like mystical experiences of synchronicity and like magic. Like, and you're really going to be seeing so clearly how you are actively creating your world. I get that so strong. I feel like I just want to keep saying that over and over and over and over and over for this, because that really feels like what this transformation is and what's helping you get out of the box of sort of maybe feeling like a victim to your circumstances or your surroundings. You have the Fool card next, and this is really beautiful for like, I mean, hey, the symbolism of the rainbow versus the dark forest, the moon versus the sun. Can I focus this? So this card came to me in a dream. I made this deck, and this card came to me in a dream. And the idea was basically like I had chosen this path first, and it was very like full of fear and lack and like survival, like very like base needs, very tribal. There was something with like the police came and I felt like guilt, even though like I wasn't doing anything wrong. There was something about like a basement, like finding sweets in the basement. So just like shadow, habit, addiction, whatever. So that was like this side. And the whole idea is that like basically when the dream switched, what I realized was that I was going to die at some point, and before I died, I had to get back to this path, the soul path, the solar path. And that path is like living your truth, having faith, and truly listening to your intuitive messages from your higher self and from God. Because they are truly connected, your higher self and God. Like it's the part of you that is still part of the cosmic soupy ocean. And I feel like this is like your journey of this year, is it's almost like you've been living in this maybe fearful survival, inherited karmic ancestral path for so long, and you're finally taking this path this year. You're making decisions that are leading you this way, and it starts with researching the mystical realm, acting on intuitive feelings about what you need to be doing, and having faith in yourself and your path. And look, it all just got brighter. I just turned the light up as it's getting darker outside. And then you have the Ace of Swords, which is freaking gorgeous, you guys. It's literally like clarity, like clear thinking, breakthrough moments, perfect with Uranus because it's all about breakthrough. I feel like this is something that's going to be like a very quick, almost awakening, like an aha moment or a breakthrough that happens so fast. And then this whole year is going to be basically living that out. It reminds me of like a Kundalini awakening where like that energy wakes up, but it almost has the ripple effect of like the stone into the river, where like the whole rest of the year, you're almost seeing the thoughts that were within you, the ideas that were within you, like being manifested around you in such a vivid way that you're having breakthroughs about the way that the universe works on such a quantum and mystical level. You guys, this is so freaking exciting. I love this for you. I feel like if I keep talking, I'm just going to be repeating the same thing. But if I were to sum up 2025 for you in just a few words, it would be spiritual awakening, Kundalini awakening, being fully honest about who you are, being fully honest about the way that you have contributed to past experiences, stepping out of the darkness into the light, into the spotlight, and just like shining like a rainbow. Like, yeah. And just remember to ground yourself in a healthy way every day. Maybe read Siddhartha, maybe read The Alchemist. Both of those I have just sort of seen in these cards. And both of those, honestly, I read those when I had my first Kundalini awakening. Those two books played a huge role. So let that be a confirmation for you about that. I am going to end your reading here. If you do want a personal reading, I am offering them, by the way. So I'll leave a link to my website in the description. If that is something that you would want to book to get more specific, we can do like a month-to-month layout or a quarterly layout, or just answer any lingering questions that you might have. So I will leave that there. But group one, thank you so much for listening to this reading. If you do like my Skeletal tarot deck, I made that deck. You can also buy that on my website. And I just really wish for the most beautiful, beautiful year ahead for you. I have no doubt that it will be like just very powerful and awakening for you. So blessed 2025, and yeah, thanks again for watching. Bye. Hi group 2, welcome to your reading. If you're here, you chose this beautiful celestite crystal. I love celestite. I sleep with it by my bed every night to enhance my dream state, and I'll tell you, I do have super vivid dreams. I've done that for years, and so this reading might have to do with your dreams, like literal or figurative. Your card is Neptune, which is literally dreams, imagination, like your inner like mind's eye state. So it might be what you dream about at night, or what you dream about for your life. So let's just pull some more cards and get some clarity about this for you. 2025. What are some of the main themes of 2025 with this dreaming state? What does pile 2 need to know? Cool. At the bottom, you have the prayer, and then you have the temple. I'm going to take these out because they feel very beautiful, very sacred, a lot to do with hands. So the first thing is that the prayer to me is very much tuning into this Neptune energy in a very grounded, heartfelt way. So I'll just share like one practice that I've been really tuning into over the last like year and a half has been a gratitude practice in the morning, writing down what I'm grateful for and just sort of acknowledging the blessings that are already in my life, and then sometimes including things that are pushing the edge of what is actually in my life and what isn't in my life, and letting that combined energy sort of amplify my wishes and desires. Recently, I haven't had the time in the morning to actually write them, so I've switched to before bed using mala beads, and as I'm going to sleep, moving through each mala bead to either express a gratitude or to envision something in my life that I would like to see more of, but really focusing on like the positive emotions of what I'm already experiencing. So like when I do this, it can be very vague, like I'm grateful for transformation, I'm grateful for peace, I'm grateful for inner stability, or it can be really specific, like I'm so grateful for the moments of stillness and silence I got today. I'm so grateful for the positive emotions I feel when I'm doing my work. Or like specific, like I'm so grateful for my mother and like the love that she shows me. So that could be a big part of 2025 for you guys, is basically like really focusing on, with your imagination and your thoughts, like what is beautiful in your life, and then daydreaming about more of what you'd like to see. So another part of this is like with the prayer, like envisioning yourself experiencing your desired emotion, and then envisioning like an aura of light around you, and just noticing like what comes in intuitively for that. But also you can like choose to infuse it with whatever energy you want. And then you can choose to like even expand from that of like what's around you, like what's the setting you're in, are you alone, are you with people? And that has been something that's been really powerful for me within that visioning state, because it's very specific with what you want to be experiencing internally, but not as much like externally. So if you're not clear about like what needs to change in your life, that can be a really nice way of like manifesting with prayer and visualization. If there is a very specific outcome that you're very sure that you want, definitely envision that around you. Your next card is the Gem. Yeah, I feel like that's honestly like your third eye and also your heart, like the energies of like the power of your heart to create and manifest, which in Kundalini yoga, like our power of manifestation actually comes from our heart and not our mind, because that's like the middle point between physical incarnation and like spiritual, like the spiritual, etheric, mental realm. And so it's in the heart where we're actually the most powerful, and that's where like the light of yoga, the light of the lotus, the light of the Buddhist heart lives, is in the heart, right? So you're really coming into this beautiful energy. It's like giving me shivers of just being like very embodied in your spirituality and embodying your daydreams and sort of taking that action, like very much so in the etheric realm of like focusing on your dreams, but also like in the physical world, since the heart is the center between the physical and the etheric, of taking daily steps towards that as well. I do feel though like a lot of this is very etheric, or maybe you're working on drawing it from the etheric into the physical, since you have the temple here. And it's also the green color of the heart chakra, and then yellow, which talks about your power, your solar plexus. So I do feel like you're becoming more empowered in the physical, and like you may be someone who is just very etheric in general. Like you have a lot of Pisces, a lot of Aquarius, a lot of like outer planet energy, and not as much embodied energy. And I feel like that's something that is changing for you this year. Like that's a part of the process, is becoming more embodied with this magical energy that you naturally are. I also think that it is getting your head and heart into alignment, and it's reminding me of that song, the Magician by Yaima. I love that song. I snowboard through the woods to it, and it's my favorite song to do that to. It's so magical. And like basically the chorus is like, when mind and heart become one. What's the next line? No question what will lead you. When mind and heart become one, no question what will lead you. So this is like being very true to yourself and really focusing on what you want rather than fears. Maybe 2024 presented a lot of fears to you, and maybe that's like the background of this gem card is reminding me of the underworld card in this deck a little bit. So maybe you're navigating yourself out of that through having more integrity with the way that you use your magical potential, which is your mind, your emotions, and your heart. The nectar came up when I was shuffling for you, and to me that also speaks of like spiritual fluids. Basically, picture like craniosacral fluid that's flowing between your pelvis and your mind. So doing movement with your hips might be really helpful. Again, snowboarding is so awesome for that. But also just like dance, like sensual dance, any kind of dance really, like surfing, yoga, I don't know, like hula dancing, I don't know, like what, in whatever ways, like, I mean, making love, that you would be using your hips will be really helpful for this. I feel like as a pleasure practice as well, I wasn't going to say this, but like I feel like I have to now because it's the second time I'm thinking it, like sex magic, you guys. So when you're basically reaching climax, like bringing into your mind the visualization of like what you want your life to look like, how you want to feel, whatever it is, like this image that you might meditate on before bed, and like sort of letting that release act as like magical potential, like a magic wand basically for you. But I do see like this is going to be a very highly spiritually activated year for you. Like already all of these are like highly spiritual cards. You have the Father. Let's see what this one is. Oh, you have more. You have the Crone and you have the Ring. Okay, so with the ring and the gem, for some of you, you might be getting engaged or getting married. That's for some of you. It is not for all of you. The ring and the gem could literally be like the third eye. Also, like picturing that sort of like donut in your mind's eye and sort of shining out from the mental space would also be very apt with Neptune. The Father and the Crone, though, I just feel like with the Father, I'm getting... Do you know actually what's interesting is I feel like this side is very metaphysical, etheric, and this side is a lot more embodied. Because when I think of the Father, I think of being very like practical and pragmatic and like just doing what you need to do to be stable and basically like support like your tribal family unit. So I feel like that's part of this for you is like, again, leaning more into the more like practical energy. Even though the overarching theme is Neptune and like the power of your mind, it still requires this other action. I'm also noticing that these both have this like token. Okay, that's very interesting. On one, you have the upside down triangle, haha, which is water. And then here, you have the Star of David, the symbol of the Anahata heart chakra, and basically symbolically being whole and complete, like having both sides, the feminine and the masculine, the water and the fire. And here, I mean, with the lines through it, like the upright triangle with the line would be air, and the upside down triangle with the line would be earth. So it's almost like finding wholeness and completeness within yourself through this magical heart-centered practice. And I feel like with the Crone, that's like the heart wisdom. That's like you in your activated power, knowing where your power comes from, and that is your heart. And the crow is literally perched on the heart. And then there's the hand again. There's like 4 hands in your reading, with the temple, the crone, the prayer, and nectar. So it just feels very powerful to me. I'm going to pull a few more cards for you. So what else should pile 2 know about this coming year for them? What should they be aware of? What should they anticipate or expect? / what are any messages from their guides or their higher self or from God during this time? What else does group 2 need to know about? So you have ask for what you want, connect with nature. You have get some exercise and daughter at the bottom. So interesting. So moving your body, I feel like that's part of the right-hand side of this reading. Like being more embodied with your magic is going to be the key to your power. You have pregnancy. The birth of a child brings great blessings to you in the world. This could also be the birth of a project. Again, everyone watching this is going to be at a different part in life. For some of you, like you have the gem, the ring, the father, it could literally be becoming a parent, okay? For others of you, this is like being spiritually, energetically pregnant with something that you're trying to create in the world. And yeah, basically tending to that. Like taking care and nurturing this vision or this dream for yourself. You have asked for what you want, let the universe and others know what you need. I feel like that is the prayer card. So it could be communicating that to your guides and to God, but it could also be communicating that to people in your life. Especially if you are like in relationship, this could be communicating that to your significant other. It could be communicating it like in your workplace. Whatever it might be. And I feel like you're going to receive it. You just have to like ask for it. And I feel like that's also part of this becoming more embodied and brought into like the real world, quote unquote, like the physical world. It's kind of like on the energetic, you have it all, and like you know that you can have what you want, but it's like having to tune into like the fire, the assertiveness to become more whole and complete. The earth. And then you have connect with nature. You're rejuvenated and inspired by spending time outdoors. So again, I feel like that's like connecting with earth energy. I feel like you have a lot of air and water naturally, and you're so masterful and skilled at working with that. And this year, it's almost like your challenge will be sort of bridging the gap to become more integral and whole within yourself, of becoming more embodied, and maybe drawing on logic a little bit more as well. I want to get a message to you from 2024 of any lessons or messages, lessons, blessings, messages that your higher self, God, your guides are wanting you to bring with you into this coming year. What does group 2 need to bring with them? What would be helpful for them to draw in of whatever they've experienced this year, 2024? What would be helpful for them to bring with them into 2025? There we go. On the bottom, you have activating empathic magic and then taking a vow. Yeah, so you guys, you are so magical, and I feel like you're getting super activated this year within your power. And again, it's through acknowledging that, like, yes, these have been a superpower for you, the etheric, and like now you're really like drawing it down into the physical. I'm picturing in my tarot deck, I think I just need to show you. So I made this tarot deck, it's the Skeletal Tarot. There's a couple of extra cards in it. There's like 2 versions of the World card, but then there's also the Master card, which like luckily is right here. Easily accessible. And it's basically this idea of like when we're going through the dark, we're confused, we feel stuck, we feel pain, we're suffering somehow, whether it's mental, emotional, or physical, or spiritual. We sort of look for this higher wisdom, this higher source. And the idea is that like reaching here isn't the end goal. It's almost like, yeah, you climb the tree, but then you're here, and it's almost like now you have this mission to like draw it back down into the world to either share with others or to integrate. It's sort of like this is like integration, like seeking an integration. And so I feel like I'm actually going to leave this out because I feel like you have all of this knowledge and wisdom, and you're just needing to integrate it and embody it more fully this year in order to activate your magic. The card that fell out for you though is alchemizing confusion into clarity. So yeah, this energy when it's alone, this very like etheric, purely spiritual, mental, emotional energy, when it's alone, it can be very confusing because it's not being grounded by anything. It's almost just like floating on the pink cloud, and there's like no earth or anything around it. And so alchemizing confusion into clarity, I think that part of that is going to be through coming into your body more, the temple, coming more into this sort of like masculine energy, or like, yeah, just like taking practical steps and like integrating and embodying what you already know to be true. And then I'm also just noticing that this is number 5, which makes me think of like the inner child, creativity, play, relationships, intimacy. I think intimacy is going to be a really big theme actually for you guys because again, you have like pregnancy, the nectar, which to me is really intimate, like a hand and a flower just saying, the gem in the ring, the father, the temple. So yeah, I think the big theme this year is basically going to be that like you're very in this Neptune daydreamy etheric energy and basically just needing to come into the physical in order to get clear. Creating fire or tapas in the body is very important for that clarity. It almost like creates the light in the darkness. It's like very sharp and clear. So doing that through, if you are an artist, like, and if part of these like sort of daydreamy things might be like artistic inspiration, this will be a really good year for you to create. You might have a lot of creative inspiration come through your meditation, through your prayer, through like getting movement, becoming more balanced. And I just think that, you know, creative expression for you is going to be huge for this activation and for processing and just getting clear in general. So we're just going to pull a few final cards from my Skeletal Tarot. You have the Page of Wands, which is very much that 5th house, like Leo, sunflower energy, playfulness, creative expression, daydreams, inner child. Cutting again, you have another 5, which is the Hierophant, but in reverse. So I feel like part of the confusion might be like past beliefs that aren't really serving you. And then cutting again, we have the King of Swords reversed. So yeah, I feel like this is more like there's some kind of mental confusion, and bringing balance to that will happen through getting into your body. You also have the 5 of Wands, so another 5. So inner conflict, if you're experiencing inner conflict, you also have the 2 of Swords, which can be inner conflict, and the Prince of Pentacles, which talks about slowing down, getting embodied and in the physical. That's going to be the key for you guys this year. I feel like there's like you're a very high energy, high vibration kind of person, but you're needing to allow your physicality to exist in harmony with your spirit. Like, I almost wonder if part of the belief that you're letting go of is that somehow like being in the physical is going to conflict with the spiritual truths that you know, or like the etheric part of you, and that's just not true. You have the 2, oh, you have 2 2s, okay. You have the 2 of Pentacles reversed and the 2 of Wands. So this might be like having so much on your plate that you're getting out of balance, or just being out of balance in general. And it could be, again, like the 2 energies of like the etheric versus the physical. And then 2 of Wands talks about planning, and I feel like that's that father energy of just like being logical, being pragmatic, doing what needs to be done in the physical because it just needs to. And I almost wonder if that could be like a chop wood, carry water energy for you guys that will just help you stay balanced and grounded and like just less confused. I almost feel like when you don't have something you're planning for or aiming for, that's like when you get just confused and like lost in the sauce. And so you're being called to, like, in order to clear this conflicting internal energy, to like plan, look at your future, and see how in the present moment you can be taking small steps to arrive where you're going. You have the 3 of Cups, so also like dancing, getting in your body. I feel like this will be huge for you. Hanging out with people that you love, that are on the same page as you, like the same, or like are on the same spiritual journey as you. They might have wisdom for you too. I often find that like women in my life who are also on the spiritual path tend to either have lessons that I've recently gone through that I have perspective on, or vice versa. So your relationships with others might be really important for you. And then your final card is the Sun card. It's in reverse. Either way, it's a positive card that connotates like spiritual awakening, play, the inner child, lightheartedness, seeing the good in life. And so I just think like ending your reading with this is a really good sign that like the clarity and the healing is there, and like really just take these constructive physical steps to get in your body so that you don't feel as conflicted or confused, or like wondering why your spiritual practice manifestations like aren't coming through. It's because like needing to get in the physical. I'm also just noting how similar like this character is to this character, which in my deck, this is kind of like the Death key, and this is like the Hangman key. So I feel like, and it was reverse. Oh my god, it's literally the same image, you guys. literally the same image. So taking that spiritual wisdom that you have and bringing it down to earth and seeing it in the physical, I feel like part of this is like accepting the physical realm, really, so that you can live a more harmonious, balanced life here on earth. This is the integration, like integrating, like you might have been someone who's read a lot of spiritual texts or like listened to a lot of tarot readings, done a lot of tarot readings for yourself, and it's almost like, okay, you know all of this, but now you need to like act on it and like actually show it in the real world. So that's your reading group 2. I love it for you. Honestly, it feels very fertile. Like your imagination is very fertile, and like basically your challenge is to have integrity with what you know this year, and especially to get in your body more. So thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure. If you would like to do a one-on-one reading, you can book with me through my website. I will leave the link in the description. We can go into more detail, cover any questions that you might have. And also, if you like the Skeletal Tarot, you can also purchase that on my website. But I wish for so much clarity for you in 2025 and embodiment and integration. Those are like your main words for 2025. So thank you, group 2, and blessings to you as we switch into the new year. Bye. Hi, group 3, and welcome to your reading. Let's dive right in. So this will be the sort of overarching theme of 2025 for you. And you chose Taurus. So Taurus is all about comfort, the physical world, relationships in our lives. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So yeah, beauty, pleasure, comfort, love. It also rules the second house, so perhaps like a year of finances, or either creating or enjoying stability that you have created for yourself or are creating for yourself. So let's pull some more cards just to get a bit more information for you about 2025. What does group 3 need to know about 2025? So I will tell you guys, just within the experience of recording this reading, I had to stop after reading groups 1 and 2 yesterday, and now I'm coming to it the day after, and I'll just say my energy feels very different reading now for you guys and for the 4th group. Like just more calm, kind of cozy, and even like a little bit more like timid versus like if you listen to my voice in the first 2 readings or even the intro. It's very different. So you had the vessel fall upright, a bunch of cards fall upside down that we're not going to take. So the vessel already feels very apt being paired with Taurus, because it is like physicality, the physical body, being the vessel for something. So we're going to use these other cards to just inform that. You have the Sustainer, yeah, so definitely this could be a year of sort of just like doing the day-to-day work in order to sustain yourself and your lifestyle. I'm also just noticing like the vessel bowl and this person holding clay, so that might be something that is either of interest to you, like working with clay, or just something that you're being encouraged to try. Yeah, I mean, even just thinking of like if the zodiac signs were like creative outlets, that feels very apt for Taurus because it's literally like molding earth like with your hands to create something that can hold beautiful things or things of pleasure. So if you work with clay or are interested, this is just a confirmation for you that you're in the right place. I'm also noticing the stars here and the sort of sun-like star here. And to me, the star speaks of like inspiration. So you might just feel like extra inspired to, you know, be creative or, yeah, especially if you already work with clay, you might have some new ideas come through about how to do that work, or just like with your creative practice in general, you might feel very inspired. I also feel like friendship or like partnership in general will be a theme, just because like the two stars here, that like maybe this is something that you can do with loved ones too. Like if this isn't something that you're doing as a career, like maybe there's a like a pottery studio nearby that you can go to with loved ones, and just enjoy like sort of getting centered and grounded with that practice. Then you have the flame and the one, which also has stars in the background. So yeah, to me, the overall vibe of this is very like peaceful, grounded, and inspired. With the flame and the one, this could be even talking about like a romantic relationship for you, like someone being like your flame. I'm not really sure about like the whole twin flame thing, but just in general, like it could be like a flame, like a warmth and a light in your life, something that lights you up, that warms you, that makes you feel, you know, passionate or cozy. And I feel like it's written in the stars, just with all of the stars that are here. Like there's stars here, star, star, star. These even kind of look like they could be stars. Yeah, I want to pull more cards for you, but just already, yeah, the feeling that I'm getting is just like cozy, grounded, aligned, in tune with the physical and the infinite, like a sort of balance between earthy and etheric. So what else should group 3 people know about 2025? What should they expect? Or what are their higher selves, guides, God source? What do they want them to know about 2025? Oh my god, okay, that's way too many, so I'm just gonna put them back. I usually wait for them to fall out, and yeah, that was just way too many. You might really be someone who works with elementals, like elemental spirits, like fairies, sprites, gnomes, because this is the magical messages from the fairies, and they just spat out like 20 cards. That actually happened with these too. So I almost wonder if there's like discernment about like enoughness, like the theme of like what's enough. Just because, yeah, with both of your card pulling so far, I've had to put a bunch back. And Taurus can also signify like overconsumption because of like pleasure. So you have children. Your connection with children is part of your life's purpose. And then at the top and bottom, you have whom do you need to forgive? As you release old anger and resentment, you'll find that your wishes will come true and your desires within reach. Have faith as everything is working in your favor. So I feel like your inner child, honestly, is gonna be like the main theme for most people in this group. For some of you, it can literally be like if you have children, or if you work with children, if you work like in preschool or like babysitting, nannying, childcare, whatever it might be, that sort of energy of childlike joy, wonder, creativity, self-expression is definitely a part of your year. Let's see if I can get you to see this a little bit better. The colors are just so brilliant and beautiful. And there's also this theme of like the sacral energy, just with like the orange, the orange, the orange. So I think like pleasure for you with the sacral and Taurus is going to be a theme this year. But like finding healthy pleasure, and even like imagining like how does a child experience pleasure, because it can look really different once we enter adulthood, like how we experience pleasure. And so I feel like for you this year is going to be like this whole I love like holding mud in my hands or playing in the dirt, like rolling around in mud, having a mud bath, like feeling the sun on my skin, and like running around playing tag, and yeah, just, or like creating a fort and just being in like soft, plush, coziness. I also wonder if for some of you, I just noticed like this almost feels like a magnifying of this, and I almost wonder if there's a sacral healing within like intimacy and like being vulnerable, just because this person looks like they're sort of hiding, and like hiding from the one even. So I feel like part of this year is healing any wounds that might be like the whom do you need to forgive, like healing wounds that are keeping you hidden, like hiding yourself, keeping you closed off from connecting with others. Because I feel like maybe later in the year, I almost feel like this is like a timeline for you guys, like of like the quarterly part of the year. So almost like the first 3 months of the year, you might feel like kind of closed off and trying to feel comfortable in your body and with yourself and with being vulnerable again. And I almost wonder if like during the spring, you might find this practice, this like creative practice, or like really, really lean into this creative thing, um, and like how to like sustain yourself in a way that is balanced, that also helps you feel good and confident in your body. And then I almost wonder if like during the summer months, like the end of summer, if that's when you might meet this person, this flame. And it's almost like they come closer and closer until like the end of the year, they're like in your face. Like this star that's in the far off distance is like in your face. That's for some of you. What else? I feel like in spring you're going to be working on like mental peace or mental balance. And that's where like that practice of like literally pottery might be for some of you. I thought of this earlier with that, the whole idea of centering. There's this whole book, I forget who it's by, but it's called Centering, and it's about how using a pottery wheel is this incredible meditative practice related to like spinning, which is a very like mystical, ecstatic thing in general, like spinning and spiraling, and having to like center your piece and find the perfect balance with it is very meditative. So I feel like the first few months of the year there might be an emphasis on your body, but once spring comes there will be this emphasis on like entering meditative state through, I think, specifically creative practice, but it could also be with like whatever your work is with the second house, like really just accessing meditative state through your work. And it's almost like those two things balance your energy channels and sort of open you up to this new experience of passion. Um, and if the flame and the one isn't like a romantic thing, it can also be kindling the flame with your like spirituality and divine source, because the one can also be really symbolic of like the image of God, of source, of like oneness, of the cosmic soup. And the flame could really be symbolic of like awakening the Kundalini energy with that. So take that as you will. Like for some of you, well, I'll say this. For people in this group, like let the focus be on yourself for the first like half of the year, like tending to your body, forgiving people who need to be forgiven, focusing on your goals, and finding a practice that helps you be present in your body and in your mind. And then whatever, like once we come to like the summer solstice, I think that's like July 21st. Is it June 21st or July 21st? Maybe June 21st. So at the end of June, see how you're feeling. Like by June, once you're really feeling yourself, feeling present in your body and in your mind, are you drawn towards connecting more with others outside of like friendship, or are you interested in going deeper with your connection to the universe and kind of like continuing on your path? And if it's the second one, then you might find yourself spending like the rest of summer going into fall, getting in your body more, also with the flame, like cultivating tapas in your body, if the romantic thing isn't for you. I mean, actually, either way, it could be that, but with the flame, I just see the emphasis on like cultivating heat, as a way of like finding balance. I feel like a lot of this year for you, group 3, will be about finding balance, but it feels like it's done in sort of like a peaceful and curious way, instead of like coming from a sort of lack of like, oh, I'm not balanced enough, I'm not good enough. It's more like coming from a place of like, I am so worthy of feeling good, and these are some things I've wanted to try, and so I'm gonna follow that, like lean into that curiosity like a child, and let myself experiment and try these new things, and it'll be really rewarding for you. So I want to get a message from the Empath Oracle. I have a message from 2024 that's wanting to come in for you to basically like what you've experienced this year in 2024, like what lesson or blessing is wanting to move forward with you, or like be remembered, be acknowledged, be considered. Also, with the astrology, look at your natal chart, see what's in your second house, and see if you have any planets in Taurus, because that might also point to what area of life this is in for you. So like, for example, if you have Taurus in the 6th house, like your emphasis might be on like how in the day-to-day are you prioritizing taking care of your body, creating balance in your body and mind, and connecting with the spirit or with friends like in the day-to-day, versus like if this is in your 2nd house, it might be like within your like work and the way that you make money, how can you still take care of yourself and connect? Or if this is in the 5th house, it might be more like the romantic, or like literally having children and like sustaining a pregnancy for some of you. And if that, look at this too, like all these just fell out again. I'm not going to take these. You did have one fall out over here that we'll take. But yeah, if for some of you this is a pregnancy, like if this is in the 5th house, you end up getting pregnant, it's like your child is like a soulmate for you, with the one, and will be like, this is just a confirmation that like they're absolutely meant to be in your life. Another astrological example, say you have a stellium in Taurus, like you have like 3 or 4 planets in Taurus. This will be like major for you, those themes. But say you have like Venus in Taurus, then it'll, I mean, that is is it exalted? No, not exalted. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so it's at home there. But this would be more of like a very like sensual year for you. And again, it could be about love. It could be about connecting with women, like going to a pottery studio and like making art with women. It could be like a creative journey versus if you have like Saturn in Taurus, then this year might be about restricting yourself in some ways in order to create balance. So take that as it will, just peek at your chart. We're going to look at these empath oracle cards. At the bottom, you have creating personal space. I'm going to turn this light up. I'm figuring out my lighting, you guys. Creating personal space. And then on the other side, you have invoking guides, gods, and guardians. So I think like spending time in solitude is going to be really important, again, especially in the first part of the year. And for some of you, maybe like half of you, like the whole year, just prioritizing like yourself in general is going to be really important. And then remembering that you're not alone, even within that aloneness. Like you do have these guides that are with you, that are wanting to work with you, and you can call on their strength. If you have a spiritual practice or like a tradition that you're a part of, you can look at any of like those guides and guardians. I always think of like Hindu gods and guides. So example, like with Hinduism, it might be like Lakshmi, goddess Lakshmi. She's the goddess of like love, wealth, and beauty, and which is very aligned with the energy here. So it could be like calling on Lakshmi to support you in this process of like loving your body, nurturing yourself, having loving connections, creating beautiful art, having financial prosperity, and all those things. That could be like Aphrodite in, is it Greek mythology? She's also, there's this really amazing book called Goddesses in Every Woman by something Boleyn. I don't remember her first name, but is it Anne Boleyn maybe? I recommend that book for anyone who's female identifying, but I also have male friends who have read it and they said it was really helpful too, to like understand women in their lives. But basically Aphrodite in that book stands apart from all the goddesses because she separates it like of like virginal and non-virginal goddesses, and Aphrodite is the alchemical goddess. She's the only one that stands outside that, where like she kind of does whatever the fuck she wants and she's in control. She's not disempowered in any way, even if she has like many lovers. Like she's the one that's ultimately in control and like the active creatrix in her life. So anyway, highly recommend that book. Well, let's look at this card, okay? So you have loving the self on all levels. Are you kidding me, you guys? How perfect is that? Yeah, so this year is absolutely like emphasizing, I think, starting with loving your body, and then loving your mind, and then loving your energy, and then loving your connection with all that is, like with your spirituality, with your community, with your partner, if that's applicable. And I think that a lot of that has to do with healing inner child wounds and like embodying more of like a childlike energy. Like you might have become very serious, and this year you're really being called to like have more fun, but like in a healthy and balanced way, like not overdoing it. Because again, every time I've tried to shuffle for you guys, I've had like 20 cards fall out, and it's just like excess. So I think part of this year is practicing and embodying temperance and moderation, and not overdoing it. And I think shifting the mindset from like overindulgence being self-love to doing whatever is going to help you feel good, like long term and in the day-to-day, like prioritizing that as a form of self-love instead, rather than like punishment. The card number is also 6, and I gave the example of the 6th house earlier of being like in your day-to-day, how are you taking care of your body, mind, connection, energy? And so I feel like that's just a confirmation of that energy. And again, you can look at your 6th house to see if you have planetary influences there. I'm also noticing in this card, it looks like there's like a dove there. And so I feel like these actions that you're choosing to take are really creating this feeling of like peace, harmony, and beauty. The dove is also a symbol of Venus, so there's just a lot of Venus energy. I would say surrounding yourself with women this year will be really helpful for you. We're going to pull you a few final cards from the tarot, just a final message. You might be walking away from certain things, people, habits, situations that like their karmic time has expired, like they served a role for you in the past but they no longer are. This is the card of new horizons and moving on from things, so that might feel like you feel blocked from moving on because, I don't know, maybe it's like this energy that you're used to, but it's just like stagnant and habitual. So I feel like that'll be the main challenge for you guys this year, is like letting go of certain things that have been preventing you from like fully loving yourself, that are coming from a place of maybe not loving yourself. And I mean, it's all connected, right? Like if you're doing something because you have an underlying feeling of not loving yourself, then the action itself is probably harmful to you, and vice versa. If you're doing things that are harming yourself, it's probably coming from a place of like not being happy with yourself and not loving yourself. So I definitely, I'm just getting that as like a really big theme for the year, like really loving yourself more and exploring what that looks like. On the bottom you have the moon, so there might be things that are karmically connected to like your mother or your maternal side of your family. An example of this might be like if you have alcoholism on your mother's side and you drink a lot, like that's just like you're helping heal that family karma. I also see this as, I just keep noticing like these images reflected. I'm actually going to leave this out. That there's something that you're not seeing now that I feel will come in for you at the end of the year. And all of this work that you're doing with loving yourself, exploring yourself, your mind, your body, your curiosity and your inner child, it's basically preparing you for this thing that is going to come in at the end of the year. I feel like for some of you it is that like there's this person that already has their eye on you, but they're kind of in the distance or like in the dark, like you don't see them and they're like not acting on it. And by the end of the year I feel like it will be like very in your face. It'll be almost like going from like new moon to like full moon, like it becomes illuminated in your face. If this isn't something that is like a person, because again this is like a collective reading, so that'll only be for some people. For others of you, I do feel like this is subconscious material that at the beginning of the year, it's almost like there's a part of your mind that's aware of it, but only part of it. Like it's still kind of subconscious, and it'll come more and more into focus throughout the year. I think especially as you cultivate heat in your body, I think it'll start to become more clear in the second half of the year, and it'll almost be that like by the holiday season next year, it'll be like, whoa, almost like breakthrough of like, wow, I see it so clearly now. And like being able to see it clearly like this helps me be more sure and confident in the actions I'm taking, because I can like fully understand it and see it and like understand the reason why. Behind that energy, you also have the Eight of Swords in reverse, which to me speaks of getting unstuck. And then on the other side of the deck, you have the Temperance card in reverse. So yeah, definitely this theme of sort of imbalance and unity and moderation. Behind it, you had the Five of Cups, which is like sadness, lack, feeling loss, feeling like not enough, like cup half empty instead of half full. And so if you have been experiencing that energy of just kind of like sadness, maybe like stuckness, just like really try to lean into what this reading is saying, because the moderation is key. That's usually what I think of with like the Temperance card, is like moderation, patience, balance. Those are the keys. You're like moving from this energy of imbalance and like overdoing certain things, overindulging in certain things, to like this illumined, balanced state of like, this is almost hiding the unconscious material for you that's needing to be worked through in order for you to be more integral and whole. And I feel like this whole process of, yeah, coming into your body, coming into meditative state, cultivating heat, connecting with higher sources will really just help heal this for you. So this is a really healing year for you guys. So we'll go from reversed to upright. You have the Queen of Wands reversed, the Seven of Wands reversed, the Hangman, and the Eight of Wands. So the Queen of Wands, when she's in her upright position, talks about feeling empowered, especially like an empowered feminine energy. With it in reverse, I feel like this is sort of speaking of how this imbalance disempowers you. And there might also be sort of like a victim mentality connected to it, like either the behavior stems from this sort of like victim mentality, maybe with that whole forgiveness, like needing to forgive somebody, like that the pain of whatever happened that made you feel like a victim is like fueling this behavior. And in like I said, everything's a mirror. The act of like disempowering yourself is also making you a victim. Like it's sort of creating that reality for you. It can also be an imbalance of fire for some of you, like either having excess fire or not enough fire. So take that as you will. Like either being maybe like prone to aggression if you have like too much fire, or like prone to like depression if like you're needing fire. So tempering the flame, again, is going to be a theme for you guys. Then you have the Seven of Wands, which my camera just stopped, so maybe like pausing on the message of fire and what tempering your fire means to you, tending to your fire, like in a way that's sustainable. And then you have the Seven of Wands, which in its upright position talks about perseverance and just pushing on. And I think in connection with the Temperance card reverse and the Queen of Wands reverse, it's kind of saying that maybe goals that you've had for a long time that you haven't followed through on, it's connected to whatever this habit or behavior is that's been keeping you disempowered, that's imbalanced. The next cards I feel like are really powerful. I almost feel like this is like the energy that maybe you've been dealing with for a very long time, like maybe even your whole life, or like years on years. And I feel like these themes aren't going to be as dominant in the coming year, again, because you're watching this video, you can kind of get a little perspective on it. I feel like it's like spirit and your higher self are pointing out like, yes, this is where you've been, but be patient with the Hanged Man. Be patient and integrate what you're learning. In my deck, I have a master card that's like an extra card, and it's basically the Tree of Life, where on the left-hand side, there's the Death Key person that's like looking for help, inspiration, healing. And then there's the Hangman here that's coming down the other side of the tree that's basically like they've received this information, this guidance, this sort of awakening and deeper understanding, and they're bringing it back down to earth and integrating it, because the goal isn't to just like reach the top of the tree, to reach enlightenment and just stay there, to reach bliss and just stay there, but to be able to draw that wisdom back down into your daily life, and really practice it. So something about integration and also patience, like part of why this has been taking so long might be because you've been impatient with yourself, and because you don't see immediate results, you maybe like give up, or like berate yourself for like not being good enough. And this is a message of just be patient. Yeah, because this card can also symbolize being impatient when it's reverse, and then like maybe anger like turned inwards, and then like giving up with these three. So again, it might be a theme that you're dealing with as you're starting on this journey, or like continuing this journey at the beginning of 2025. But the message is to be patient with yourself, trust that things will move forward with the Eight of Wands. Things will begin to move even quickly. I feel like once you can be patient and just integrate, like, and actually practice this day to day. Because I feel like, do you see how all three of these have this halo of the sun behind them? It's almost like the Queen of Wands, the Temperance, the Hangman, they all know what needs to happen. They know what you need to be doing in your day-to-day to be more balanced and to be more whole and to like actually be taking care of yourself. And it's almost like as soon as you do that consistently in your day-to-day, you really quickly are going to see the results of it. I almost think about, like, I was writing a bio yesterday because I'm starting to teach yoga at a local studio, and I was writing my bio, and something I said was like, when I started my yoga journey of like a daily asana practice, I was a young adult and feeling very confused, like I'll say like mentally ill, even just like not okay, confused, lost, unbalanced, unmotivated, and just like generally bad about myself, like in my mind and my body and my connection to my higher self and like God. And within days of starting like a morning asana practice, I started to feel so much more balanced, more stable, more secure, and more clear. And within a few months of doing it, I was practicing like morning before work and then like after work as well. I started to feel like so clear, so strong, so confident, like I could do anything. And that practice for me was like this Eight of Wands sort of like launching me into a new phase of life where I could be more healed and have more integrity and like really heal parts of myself. And like with that, you know, through an asana practice, you can awaken that Kundalini energy, like I mentioned with the flame. And that's where this subconscious material can bubble up with the moon, where like old memories and emotions that have been stored in your body sort of come online. And it can be really intense, which is why they recommend that you have a teacher or a guide to work with you through that. So just be aware, like that might be something that happens for you. Don't let it be too daunting or scary, but maybe just like be prepared, like have a therapist or like a mentor or someone that you can talk with as you're going through this process, because it feels like a deeply intense and transformative practice of like learning what it is to love yourself and healing old wounds, perhaps even from childhood, that have been keeping you in this pattern, this unhealthy pattern that's actually been harming you. It feels really powerful to me, you guys. Like it's not going to be easy, but I do feel like if you can take an approach that's very gentle with yourself, speaking kindly to yourself, keeping yourself motivated, maybe by like starting small, like for as like using yoga as an example, like instead of expecting yourself to wake up at sunrise. Okay, wow, this feels really powerful. So my camera battery just died while I was talking about doing something that's sustainable so that you don't give up. I feel like if you try to go too hard from the start, you're going to burn yourself out. And that's what's going to keep you in this cycle of almost like binge purge. So what I was starting to say is like, if you're expecting yourself of like, okay, starting New Year's Day, I'm going to wake up at sunrise every day and do 108 sun salutations every day for the year. Like, if you've never had a like consistent yoga practice, that's probably not realistic. And even as someone who has, that might still not be realistic. Like there are going to be days that like you're just exhausted and like self-care actually looks like sleeping in and getting rest instead of moving your body. So again, this whole idea of moderation is key for you guys. Another example would be like if you want to go on a diet and what you're used to eating is like frozen meals or like going out to eat and eating really rich food, it's probably not realistic to be like, okay, New Year's Day, I'm gonna go raw vegan. Like that's just not realistic. So taking small steps where like, okay, maybe for dinner you're still eating your frozen meals for a while, but like maybe for lunch you know, prepare a vegetarian stew or soup or whatever. and you bring it to work with you, and like, so your lunch is very healthy, and then when you go home, like, you still have that comfort food for now until you shift yourself enough slowly and gradually to just not want it or like need it or desire it anymore. So slow, manageable steps are going to be what's key for you guys, so that you don't get burnt out and give up. That's going to be so, so, so important for you. And I think especially within this process of awakening too, like if it happens too fast, it could be really intense and like even scary for some people. So again, these small steps are going to make it more manageable and sustainable for you. And then within this process, I want to just say one more thing before we check out here. I would say following like the first archetype cards that we pulled, if we were to look at that quarterly, I would say focus on your body for the first 3 months. So that could be integrating like taking a 20-minute walk during your lunch break outside during the day, or doing 20 push-ups a day. I swear you guys, that kind of started one of my first spiritual awakenings, because I found they come in waves almost, but one of my first ones came from like literally doing a 20-day push-up challenge where I did 20 push-ups a day for 20 days. And it was enough to like strengthen my core, strengthen my back, keep me motivated and energized, that it like completely switched my energy. So it could be something that small, or like waking up and doing 20 jumping jacks, or doing like a yin yoga flow before bed, or again, like the meal thing that I said. I feel like the first few months will be that. And then like March through like the summer solstice basically, or like April through the summer solstice, April 1st through like July 1st. It might be like more, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling my creative energy flowing now that I've freed up this space in my physical body. And now I feel like I can really be working with my mind more and choosing to do activities that pull me into the present moment. And because my body doesn't feel so bogged down, I feel like I can access these states a lot more now. So that might be a theme for you, like spring and summer will feel like really like an awakening for you. And then that will lead to the flame, the next card. So I would say like July 1st through like October 1st, September 1st. I don't know, basically like end of summer into fall. That might be when you're feeling like the work is really, really paying off. I feel like these first few months, or like the first half of the year, might feel a little bit more like just kind of having to put in those small efforts day to day and like noticing small effects, but like maybe just not feeling like you are where you want to be yet. But this reading is just assuring you that like if you just hold on and keep going, during the second half of the year, you're going to feel more energy than you felt probably since you were a child. You're going to feel more excitement, more passion, more joy, and just like happy, like more happiness showing up for your life. And then at the end of the year, you have the one, and I feel like by the end of the year, you're going to feel so in touch with your body, your mind, your energy, that finally you're going to be connecting spiritually the way that you may have like yearned for a long time. And it's really beautiful. It's like really, really beautiful. And again, that might be when like this subconscious material comes up to be worked through, or maybe it'll be coming up and like bubbling up throughout the year, and like by the end of the year you can finally acknowledge and release it. But yeah, if you want support throughout this process, you can stay tuned into this channel. I don't, record super duper often, but there's also really good other tarot readers on YouTube you can listen to. If you do live in Summit County and like me personally, you probably know like I do healing work, and I do tarot readings, I do massage, I do guided hypnosis therapy, and those are all things that could also be support for you. I'm open to doing online like guided hypnosis. It's basically like a guided meditation where we'll be getting you into like a relaxed state and helping release certain things through tuning into the subconscious mind. But otherwise, you know, look for support elsewhere too. Like if that doesn't resonate with you, finding, like I said, a therapist, a mentor, a guide, even if it's like listening to like spiritual teachings online. I really love Ram Dass. He's like really helpful. He's been really helpful for me on my journey of like embodying compassion, trust, faith, forgiveness, all those beautiful things. But just take care of yourself, pile 3, and like let yourself play. Like this process is really important and it might feel heavy at times. So just make sure that you're also creating time for like play and joy, and doing things that are exciting for you. Anyway, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that 2025 ends up being just like so healing and beautiful and worth it for you, this whole process. If you did resonate with this, like feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment, help the channel grow. If you liked the Skeletal Tarot, this is the deck I created and they're for sale on my website, which I'll also put the link for in the description. And yeah, if you want to do any follow-up readings, you can also book those with me on my website. I do them either in person if we live in the same area or via Zoom if we don't. So yeah, I appreciate you for being here, and please be gentle and loving with yourself this year. Bye. Hi Group 4, welcome to your reading. If you're here, it's because you chose this peacock aura. Let's get started looking at your cards. You have Sagittarius as your signifier card. So I love this for you. 2025 might be really full of adventure, but for me, it's like adventure that comes from aiming at your highest goals and aspirations with the, see if we can get the light here, with like the bow and arrow. To me, it's like being very sure of what it is you want, aiming for it, and then sort of following through. But I feel like the follow through is very fun. Something, an idea, philosophy that I truly live by, that has actually been a theme for me recently too, is that anything worth doing, anything worth arriving at, should also be fun along the way, because means and end are one. So if you have goals and getting there is like sapping you of your joy, spirit, soul, energy, whatever, maybe look at how you can adjust things in order to be more aligned with how you want to feel at the end, which I'm assuming would be like fulfilled, joyful, peaceful, feeling very aligned, balanced, focused, present, etc. So I feel like if you guys are already setting intentions for this year or trying to make plans and like visualize what you want your year to look like, I just feel like you're going to be very determined, very playful, perhaps like traveling or learning new things in order to get there in 2025. But let's pull some more cards just to peek at what this might look like for you guys. So some information for Group 4 about 2025. Let this, woo, that's way too many cards, so we're not going to take them. You might have like a lot of different goals or ideas for this year or for your life, so hopefully this reading can kind of help you get clear, narrow things down, narrow your focus so that you can truly focus. There's also that whole theme of like, if there are too many things to focus on, like maybe not as much gets done because there's just too much. So what does this Group 4 need to hear for 2025? Interesting. You have the Riddle and Apocalypsis. I feel, okay, what else do you have? On the bottom, we're going to take what's on top and bottom because you got less cards. You have the River and you have Anima Mundi. So, something is ending in your life, and more cards as we pull them will kind of reveal what this is. But let's see. For some of you, you might have Pluto in Sagittarius. That's kind of like a generational thing. I have that placement too, so if you're like, I don't know, roughly in your 20s, you might have that placement. It might be worth looking at the house that that's in. Whatever astrological house it's in will give you a little bit of information about where you might be experiencing this shift, especially as Pluto is entering Aquarius. It might be somehow impacting your chart as well. But let's see, Apocalypsis does talk about endings, and Anima Mundi is the last card in the deck. And it's sort of like the completion of a cycle. This also looks like a snake skin, and you have a snake there, like it looks like a snake. And I feel like this is going to be a very transformative year for you of basically something in your life ending that could be a behavior, a mindset, a way of being in the world, a relationship, a job, something. It feels almost like a full overhaul. You also have the river, and the river talks about letting go, surrendering to the flow, perhaps like actually moving on, because the river represents impermanence. The horse that's reflected in it can also be symbolic of like moving, like you might be moving somewhere different. And with the riddle kind of starting it, it might be that you're not like, it's like a confusing energy. It's almost like having to figure out like, how can I end this cycle? I feel like it is a cycle with the symbol there, the snake, the Anima Mundi is like graduating from this. It's almost like the riddle is like, how can I do this? Like, if this is all that I've ever known, like, how can this end? Because I don't see what the other side looks like. I want to get more cards for you. Because all I'm getting right now is something ending and you moving on from something. But, like, you're aiming at something, though. So, like, what are you aiming at? Or, like, what do you need to know about this, basically, group 4? For 2025, what are these cards about? Get some exercise that might help you become more clear. Able to move on, feeling stronger on your own, maybe. I kind of want to get one more for you if there is one in here. What else does group 4 need to know for 2025? Birthday almost flipped out, so whenever your birthday is might be a significant time for you. You might be like Sagittarius sun, like your birthday's at the end of the year and maybe what you're aiming for comes in at the end of the year. You have flower power in summer, so you also might be a summertime baby, or like summer will be a really important time for this process for you. You have walk away, do some research, get some exercise. Okay. So a few things. You are leaving something behind, and maybe like we're not getting specific information about what you're leaving behind, and that might just be because it is different for everyone in this pile. And so I wouldn't want to say like, oh, you're definitely like walking away from a relationship or a job, when like for some people it might be like walking away from the place that they're living, or walking away from school, or walking away from a certain path. Whatever the unhealthy situation is for you, that's what you're leaving behind. And part of this with the riddle, it might be that there is like karmic energies sort of intertwined within this situation that makes it hard to walk away from. There's like maybe some fear or like inherited mindsets from your family that are influencing this, and that's what's making it so challenging. But if you chose this pile, just know that whatever this unhealthy thing is, you really are being encouraged to walk away. And it might just take some time, because it's almost like you have to get clear the way that this Sagittarius centaur is. Like, you have to get clear on what the target is in the first place in order to like know what isn't helpful. So like, as an example, this has actually been a really big lesson for me too. As an example, if there's like a few different things in your life that you're not sure if they're benefiting you, the best thing that you can do is focus on what you do want in order to keep your mind centered on your goal, rather than thinking about all of the things that aren't the way that you wish they would be, because that's putting energy into like what you don't want, and then magnifying that and like making those energies stronger, which can make it more confusing. So part of this for you might be like looking at like, what is my goal? Like, what do I really want for my life and for myself? and keeping your focus there and not spending as much time thinking about what you might have to leave behind to get there, and just trust that like as you focus on the goal, that thing will either welcome itself out of the exit. What's the word? Like it'll help itself out the door for you, or it might be that like it becomes so clear to you that this thing is not aligned with your goals, that it just will no longer be a question for you. And that might be part of the riddle, is just like, you know that it's not right for you like long term, but you're still having to let it live out its like karmic life first before you can let it go. And there's like a part of you that knows it's not right for you, but you're kind of waiting for it to expire before you walk away from it. But just know that at some point during the coming year, like, you will be walking away. Then you have to do some research. It says you need more information about the situation, look into it further before proceeding. So for some of you, it might be that like you are in some kind of like tricky situation that is requiring you to plan. I feel like I'm getting planning more than anything. So it might be like if it's a living situation that like, or like a place that you're like a town, a state, a city, whatever that you're living in, that before you leave, you have to first know where you're going. And so again, like aiming your sight, your arrow, whatever, on like what you want first, will help you feel empowered and knowledgeable and aware enough to comfortably and confidently walk away from this thing without having like the fear of what might happen, because you've planned for what's going to happen. And then you have to get some exercise. As your body becomes stronger, you begin to feel stronger in all ways. So I think you guys, like, you may have spent a lot of time in your mind recently, or even at the start of the year. And this is just a sign for you that, like, the more you get into your body, also the more clear that this will become. A weak body cultivates a weak mind. A strong body cultivates a strong mind. And this might also like help you feel confident enough to walk away from this thing that you might be staying with out of some sort of like fear, lack, or insecurity. So that's huge. It might be like, it might feel like something subtle, like maybe like I know I need to like exercise or go to the gym or whatever, but this is like, you almost like don't realize how important this is. Like the reason that you're feeling stuck or confused is because you haven't been prioritizing your body and cultivating inner fire and exercise. Okay. We're going to pull some cards from the Empath Oracle. What does Group 4 need to know? Is there anything like lessons or blessings that are wanting to come with them from 2024? / is there anything that their higher selves, their guides, God want them to know for the year ahead? Something really important for them. Manifesting the future. That's beautiful. Yeah. So I feel like that is like this power energy of Sagittarius. You also have opening to dreams and visions on the back, and cleansing mind, body, and spirit. So part of this cleansing might be like whatever's keeping you stuck, it's because there's something that you're needing to like cleanse or release. Like maybe even doing like a fast might help clear your mind. Cleansing your space with some kind of like sacred plant might be helpful. Singing like prayer, mantra, intention into the space is one way that cleansing without smoke can be helpful. And I just get the feeling like, yes, the beginning of this reading was like a little bit more challenging, difficult, confusing. Like, yeah, you're gonna have to let go of something, but through becoming confident enough to let go of that, you're actually like opening the door for your future and like walking through it. It's almost like you've been sitting in this room and there's like a door behind you and there's something in the room with you and you want them to exit out that door because there's this other door that's going forward into your future. And I almost feel like you're like in the waiting room, like waiting for this thing to exit. And again, like maybe it'll leave on its own accord, or you might have to be like, it's time for you to leave, and like ask it to leave. And then once it's gone, it's almost like, okay, now I'm free to go through that door. Like that thing couldn't come through the door with me. That's kind of what I'm getting. That thing can't go through the door with you. So as soon as you make the decision to let go of whatever this is and like move on, you'll kind of come more into the flow of your authentic life with the river and with Anima Mundi. You'll like be in the flow with the cosmic God soup again. And like your future, like your ideal reality for yourself will really start to come into a more full form where you can really see it and you start experiencing it almost immediately, honestly, you guys. And again, you might just be waiting for the karmic time to be up. There might be like one more little like lesson or thing you need to receive before this can happen. I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you, and as I cut the deck, you had strength on the bottom, so this is really coming from your inner strength, your confidence, and again, that comes with exercise. And then I cut to the 10 of Wands reverse, so whatever this is, it's like a burden that you're releasing and letting go of. Something that was heavy. You have the Prince of Swords or the Knight of Swords, so I feel like it'll happen pretty quickly, honestly, at the beginning of the year, like maybe even at the turning of the year with Anima Mundi. Like as we turn into the new year, I feel like you're letting go of this thing, and then that'll create more space for 2025 to be filled with your dream visions for yourself. And it might again come with like communicating clearly and like being clear about what you want and like really acting on what you want. I feel like the decision this group is having to make is like, how soon do you want the tides to turn for you? Because the tides will turn. It's just depending on like how soon you're willing to let go of this. And then you have the Prince of Pentacles at the bottom in reverse. Again, sorry, not at the bottom, but on the cut. And so I feel like it's like, don't wait on this. Like it's almost like if you wait and stagnate, like you're almost pushing your future farther off than it needs to be. I'm going to take this card too. So it's the Six of Cups, which is a really beautiful energy. It's kind of like inner child, playful, nostalgic energy. It could be like something from your past. And then you also had the Page of Swords come out. So what is this? At the bottom you have the Sun, which I love. We're going to put out here too. The Ace of Wands behind it, so feeling just really excited. We're going to take that too. Feeling really excited about your life, lit up. On the other side, you have the Moon, so you literally have the Sun and the Moon in the reading. Okay, we're going to do that instead. And then what's behind the Moon was the Eight of Cups in reverse. Okay, so I feel like this is kind of talking about... Okay, we're going to switch this again, sorry. Just for the reading to make a little bit more sense. These two cards together, to me, are this resistance to move on from something. And I do feel like it's because of like fear of the unknown, fear, like not trusting what you can't see. It's almost like you've been sensing this need to change, but have been resisting it because you don't see like very tangible specifics about why. But it's almost like you feel it on a subtle level. And so part of this is like listening to your intuition. This might be like mother karma also, that kind of came up in pile 3's reading too. It might be like some kind of maternal karma that's keeping you in this situation. So reflecting on like what you observed in your mother, or like on your mother's side of the family with their relationships to like love, stability, security, work, the way that they treat themselves, whatever it might be. Let that sort of inform this for you. Like, what's keeping you here? These also look like they could literally be scenes from like the same place or same image. So interesting. Okay. So we're going to reverse this and make it upright so that like, this is like if you do make this decision, when you make this decision to walk away like into the unknown and like trust what you're feeling, even if you don't see like vividly or like visually what it is yet. And then you have the Six of Cups. So now we're talking about like what are you walking into? What are you walking into? And the Six of Cups is like I said, like a very playful, childlike energy. It might be that you're finally walking into the life that you always wanted as a child, like having experiences that you've always wanted. But maybe whatever these karmic inherited patterns were kept you like stuck or separate from them. And so through like letting go of whatever this thing is, it's letting those dreams and visions for yourself that you've always had come into the world. You have the Ace of Wands next, which again talks about like excitement and energy. So for some of you, this could be a relationship, because Six of Cups can be like romance, somebody from your past, aside from play, like just kind of like sweetness and like the kind of love that's very like light, simple, beautiful, playful, innocent. And then the Ace of Wands can be kind of like phallic, but it's also very energetic. So take that as you will. It could be a both and, or it could be one or the other. But basically, like once you're able to leave this behind, you start experiencing this childlike play and sweetness again, doing things that you've always loved to do that maybe this thing kept you apart from. You're going to start feeling a lot more energized, more confident, more awake, more present for your life. You might be starting like a new project or like doing something that's really exciting for you. It's also landing right on top of get some exercise, so it might even like walking away from whatever this moon thing is might be like letting you get in your body more, either through like getting through some kind of block that was keeping you out of your body, or whatever that is for you, getting rid of some block that's keeping you out of your body. With it, you have the Page of Swords, and you have do some research and the Page of Swords, which can talk literally about research, like it's literally a character sitting under a tree reading a book. So this might be for some of you like going back to school, or it might be like you want to do something but you need to like either learn more about how to do it, or like the circumstances of how to get there, or you need to like do some training before you can do it. Again, it's going to look different for all of you. You're at a different part of the process, but learning and study and research is going to be a part of like this process for you. And then you have the Sun card, which is the happiest card in the deck, you guys. It's literally like childlike wonder, innocence, play. It's almost like the Six of Cups, but like on steroids. It's like your child self getting to be active and playful, being awakened and aware to the beauty of the world, sort of like gratitude enveloping you, and like just wondering, like having wonder about the world around you, and just being aware to its beauty and to the synchronicities and to the magic. I love it for you, honestly. It's a really good way to end a reading. It's basically like expect that, you know, at the very beginning of this year, you're going to be like moving on from this thing because you're finally listening to like what you're feeling and what your intuition is saying. And then you're going to be experiencing like maybe middle of the year, like this very playful, awakened, alive energy. By fall, you might be like either starting studies or like really learning about something new just in general. And by the end of the year, it's like freaking, you guys, the sun, like enlightenment, very awakened energy. And yeah, just remember to get some exercise, get in your body. Those are the two themes that are very present. Well, okay, the three themes that are very present here are moving on from something, getting in your body more, and doing some research, like learning something new.
I would also say that listening to what excites you and lights you up will help inform this decision or direction for you.
So, honestly, that's your reading, you guys. It felt pretty like confusing at first, but it feels very clear and straightforward and to the point now. You know what you need to do. So when you're ready, act on that. And just trust that everything is going to flow more easily for you once you let go of this thing. So I appreciate you for being here, and I wish you the most blissful, creative, fun, transformative, joyful 2025. If you enjoyed this reading, please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel grow. If you like the Skeletal Tarot, this is the tarot deck that I made, and you can buy them on my website, which I'll leave in the description. You can also book personal private readings with me, either via Zoom or in person if we live in the same place. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching, and I'm excited for this for you. So I'm wishing you the courage to do what you need to do, and just excited for your dreams to come true. Okay, thank you, Pile 4. Bye.